Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PricedUp Cheltenham Preview Night. Welcome to you guys all here watching live, and welcome to you guys at home watching on YouTube. I'm your host, George Elek. I'm delighted to be joined by the racing blogger, by Johnny Dineen, and by Aidan Coleman as we look to preview every single race at the Cheltenham Festival. Blogsy, you've had a busy time recently, haven't you?
I have indeed.
You've been to some pretty mega venues, been to some pretty good places to go and see some horses we're going to see next week.
Yeah.
Been to Nicky's.
Yep.
Been to Gordon's.
Indeed.
Gavin Cromwell's.
Indeed.
How was it?
Phenomenal. I mean, getting time to be on the gallops with three of the biggest trainers in the world and see horses like Constitution Hill, John Bon and Brighter Days Ahead is a privilege. To see the way the trainers operate with their horses is phenomenal. And the way all the gallops for each trainer is so different, it shows that there's many ways to skin a cat. They're all in great form. All of the horses look really healthy. Coats were shining. And I think all three of those trainers are going to have an outstanding Cheltenham Festival.
They all have an outstanding Cheltenham Festival. It's bad news for Willie Mullins, I'd have thought, possibly.
Well, that's a hard thing.
They can't all do well. Yeah. Johnny, you're no stranger to a Cheltenham preview night, it's fair to say.
No, I've done a few, yeah.
Done a few, yeah. You know, we got to the stage now where all the fancy anti-post prices are kind of done with. We're getting a good idea of who's going where. At this stage, a week before the festival starts, what are your angles in? What are you looking at in order to find value?
Look, I suppose, as you said, a lot of the angles are covered now. There's probably still, if you know where certain horses are going, what there could still be angles in for a few horses. I'd say there's a good chance something like Copic to me could turn up 6 under 2 to 1 in the last race on the Friday. There's really good talk of that, and I'd say there's a lot in hand. That kind of stuff. With the non-runner no bet, you can probably get your money. But I think that the key now is I'd nearly chance them. It's so close. You want to be cruel and lucky now not to hit one that won't get there. So if I was going now, if I could, I'd go non-runner. I lose my money. I take my chances that your horse gets there. If you can find the right race, there still might be a bit of value. Do you know, I would think that even I see him as around 7 to 2 on the machine there. That's probably double the price he'll be. There is, as you say, there is a lot of the angles are covered now. Not to say.
I like you've done a spoiler alert for the last race of the whole festival, which is good. It's a good way of doing it.
I'm not saying I fancy it, but I just think if you do fancy it, it's probably a good price.
7 to 2, about a 2 to 1 shot sounds okay. And you know, on that note, you tweeted this week a slip of your own hard luck story with a horse that was taken.
Yeah, but that's I love anti-post betting, and those things happen a lot. I mean, last year was on Ballyburn, 12 to 1 for the wrong race. This year I'm on her for the wrong race. So look, but sometimes it works in your favour. Sometimes it doesn't. It's not all sob stories. Like, I don't put up the ones that win. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm on the right race, I just keep them ones to myself. But listen,
Blogsy, is that your tactic as well? You don't put up the ones that win.
Social media loves the loser, you know. They get stuck in.
But sometimes you click the right races and it makes it all worthwhile. But look, anti-post betting, you don't expect every bet to hit, and like sometimes you can back a horse. I think you can back a horse anti-post like even if they're beat afterwards, they save you money because you don't have to back them on the day. So if you're on a yoke, say 10 to 1, it goes off 5 to 2, you don't have to back it on the day. You know, that kind of way. So even if they're beat, it still save you money. You can still win more money than what you would have had, and you don't have to back them at all. So, like, not every loser is a loser, I'd say. You know, that kind of way.
That's lucky. And then, Aidan, this is your first Cheltenham Festival since having officially retired. Obviously, you were injured last year as well. Must be bittersweet. It's a special place to you. You live
bitter.
nearby.
Bitter.
Yeah, just bitter.
Bitter, yeah.
Are you looking forward to watching it from the sidelines?
Yeah, I suppose to a point. I like watching good horses, but I am still under very much the jealousy factor of wanting to be out and getting involved. But that's the cards I've been dealt, and it's fine. I'll embrace it, and I definitely prefer to be going there next week with a book of rides rather than going to drink Guinness.
Well, you and I had the pleasure of being sent by PricedUp to watch some of your finest moments at Cheltenham a week or so ago in a cinema, which is up on YouTube as well. And some great times you had there. And we'll be talking about certainly John Bon pretty soon, a horse you know very, very well. So this is our day one preview. We'll be going through each day, race by race, as we go through it. We'll also be asking the guys for a nap at the end of each day and an outsider selection. And at the end of the whole 4 days preview, we'll be getting a charity bet from each of you, £100 that'll be going to charity at the end of the show. So we'll get to that eventually. But let's get into the racing. Obviously, all the prices I'll be mentioning on the show will be from PricedUp. would recommend anyone out here who hasn't got a Priced Up account to get one. Very much doing things the right way and differently to most bookmakers, I would say, from experience. They're a good firm and worth getting stuck into. And these are their prices we'll be talking about today. So, kick off with the first race on Tuesday with the Supreme Novice Hurdle, where Kopek de Board is the 8-11 favourite ahead of Salvador Mundi at 11-2. Romeo Culio is 6-1. Work ahead 9-1. William Money is 10-1. Iranzi is 10-1. The New Line 14s, Kiss Will 16s, Tripoli Flyer 16s, 20-1. Bar those. We'll kick off Blogsy with a horse that you've been fairly vocal about. 8-11 favourite in the opener. Can this be beaten?
In a nutshell, no.
There we go. Johnny, what are your thoughts?
Look, I think if he does his business, he'll win. But I think there is a few flaws in him. He has sweated at the races. He has been doing jiggy jogging. He's pulled hard in races. So he needs to keep it together, like on a big occasion. And he's the one horse I think that everyone will be interested in see how he gets on pre-race. I think the minute he pokes his head around the corner anywhere, there'll be a bust of cameras on him. Everyone wants to be down the parade ring to see how he's getting on. Same in the actual parade ring. They'll want to be seeing how he's behaving. Is he jiggy joggy, that kind of stuff, going to the start. And even after doing all that, even if he did do that properly, he still has to not run keen in the race like he did in Leopardstown. Oh, he's a huge engine, definitely, without a doubt. I'd say, like, you're talking a generational horse probably if he channels his energies in the right direction. But there is that he has a propensity to maybe implode. And for me, I wouldn't be backing him at 8. I definitely would wait till the date before I was backing him anyway, for sure. And even at that, even if he did do everything right, you can't really control what he's going to do in the race. And like he took off 2 or 3 times with Townend in Leopardstown. Okay, he had a huge class edge over him, and he is an exceptional horse, I'd say, no doubt about it. But that was a really bad race in Leopardstown too. That was a septic affair, in my opinion. Anyway, these are better horses. There are some good horses in here. Like if he didn't run it, it'd be a belter of a race, I think, really, you know. But look, if he does things right, he'll win. But he wouldn't be a bet for me now, to be honest.
Aidan, hearing there, you know, the questions over his temperament. You've ridden in this race many times. How different is this in terms of a test of a horse's temperament, with the buzz going on, with the incredible roar that starts the race, the first race of the week? How much of a concern is it for this horse to cope with that challenge?
I'd echo what Johnny said. It's a huge thing for him to overcome. It's in his pedigree to be a bit precocious. I don't mind. I'd be a little bit more forgiving in Johnny's analysis while agreeing. They are there to race, so I never mind a bit of sweat or a bit of jig jogging. They're there to race, so you have to be a little bit up for it. But in saying that, if he doesn't jump like you know, Cheltenham is quite tricky to jump in comparison to Leopardstown. You got 3 out and 2 out. 3 out is down a hill, 2 out is just when it comes up, and it's arguably harder. If he misses any one of them, it's a race-winning mistake, if you know what I mean. He's look, I've no doubt this time next year he is the best horse in this race. I think that's not up for debate, is it? But he's just not straightforward enough for me to take that price. Really isn't. The Supreme Novice atmosphere is like electric. Punchestown Parade Ring is like a boring Monday in comparison to the Cheltenham. I promise you now, there's no comparison, like literally none. Punchestown, you get on, it's not that busy where it is, and then you go down to the track, and there's no one there. There's a big building on one side, and there's nothing on the other side. It's quiet. You can't hear anything. Cheltenham, it's like a cauldron in the parade ring, and the whole way down to the track, which is probably 100, 150 yards, isn't it? With 10 deep either side, people from the Guinness village that is just there, shouting, roaring, all that. He'll probably have a hood on, no doubt, wouldn't he?
He won't wear one in the race,
Yeah.
but he'll probably wear one before.
Yeah, he'll have to, I'd say, yeah. Like, there's too much for me to go wrong before the race starts for me to get involved.
Blogsy, how come you're happy to take the 8-11 about a horse with these concerns?
So, I mean, at this stage, I wouldn't take the 8-11. I'd wait until the day, and I'd be one of those people who are in the parade ring having a look at how he's walking around and how he's handling conditions. But I think this whole hullabaloo of these Cheltenham Festival previews have made people want to pick holes in this horse. You know, you look at the likes of Constitution Hill, Altior, Duvan, Shishkin, horses that have won this race in recent years. We've seen some outstanding candidates, and this horse is in the mould of some of those at this early stage. I think people are looking for negatives in him rather than appreciating just how good he is. You talk about him being keen, at Leopardstown in the DRF, but I rewatched that this morning. It was only until the third, and then he settled down really under Townend, and he sat back in fourth place. I think people are looking to get this horse beat rather than just agreeing that he's head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, Romeo Coolio cost 420 grand. He's a nice horse, but I think he's a chaser in the making. The one horse I can't have in the race is Work Ahead. I thought he won a bad race at Leopardstown last time out. He got an easy lead.
I mean, the form's worked out well from that race, hasn't it? With William Money following up since.
Yeah, but William Money jumped like a boat that day. Yeah. The favourite Redemption Day was tailed off. The race was gifted to him. He's one that I'd rule out straight away. Salvatore Monday I couldn't have in a million years. I think it's an average Supreme, and I think we've got a generational talent in the race, and I think if you can get 11 to 10 in the ring, even Money, it's a plough job.
Johnny, who are you? Here we go.
We got started already.
Race 1. Johnny, who would you be looking to take on Kopek to board with?
I agree with Stephen. I don't really fancy Work Ahead at all here. That'd be the one I wouldn't be worried about. But I'd say Salvatore Mundi is a fair tool. And Romeo Coolio, I'm not so sure about his form. He couldn't beat Toons Avator in the Royal Bond. The horse he beat, Blue Devasi, is no good at Christmas. But William Money isn't a bad horse. And there's talk of a Rancy in this race. It's probably going to be bigger than 10 to 1 shot. But look, it's the favourites to lose. If he does things right, he'll win all right. But like, geez, I'm not so sure about him at the price he is. There's plenty of skinny ones at this meeting, and this is the one I'd be leaving go. I think at the same time, he did run clean enough late in the race in Leopardstown. Like, but there's no doubt in his engine. I'd say he's a brilliant horse.
He coasted to the line, didn't he? Coasted.
Well, the thing about what I liked about him was that he came around the last bend coasting. Yeah. And a bit like Stateman. Stateman lost about 20 lengths coasting. This yoke was putting lengths on horses coasting. You know what I mean? Like Stateman was coasting against donkeys in behind, and he lost 20 lengths coasting. Whereas this guy was coasting, yet if he actually gave him a kick in the belly, he'd won by 400 yards. You know what I mean? Yeah. So look, there's no doubt about his talent, but Jesus, I'm not so sure. I just think starting off the meeting, it'd be a dirty one to start off with, to be honest.
Johnny, for all the previews you've done, you seem to have forgotten how to use a microphone for a second there. You've got to keep it up.
This is the fucking train up here. Or is that when you're talking shit or what?
Aidan, anything you want to take on the favourite with here?
Well, I think one thing that's very important, and it will come up again in this preview, is festival form you can't be ignored. And I know Romeo Coolio hasn't won at the festival, but he's been there and ran extremely well and proven that he's like Cheltenham. I agree with Johnny in the fact that, like, a normal Supreme, he's probably not good enough to win. Mind you, look how bad last year's Supreme worked out, really. Could have won that one standing on his head. But he isn't a bad horse. And even when he got beat that time, it turned into a sprint. He got beat by flat horses. That race again, he probably would have won, and then he might be a fraction shorter. I just think he's the value because he's been to Cheltenham and performed well. He's handled the occasion, and you're guaranteed a run for your money with him. If you have a bet on him, you are going to be competitive down to the last, in and around, and then after that, you don't know.
Do we give any chance to the British hope here, Tripoli Flyer? Visually very impressive last time. Won't win.
No, run.
Won't run.
Run. He goes to entry.
Interesting. Thank you for telling me that. Right, on to the Arkle now, where Madgeborough is the 8 to 15 favourite. Head of Loader stood at 4 to 1. Django Bay 7 to 1. Touch Me Not 10 to 1. Only by the night 11 to 1. You can see the rest 16 to 1. Bar those with Priced Up. Again, Blogsy, it's an odds on Fav, so I'll come to you first. Madgeborough.
Yes, it's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Again, I think we're in a position here where we've got a horse who is a future champion of the National Hunt World. Announced himself last year at Cheltenham. Listen, what he done at Ferry House on his debut over fences was really electric. And I know the form hasn't worked out great with Tully Hill, but you can only beat with what's in front of you. He backed that up by winning in impressive fashion at the Dublin Racing Festival, albeit his jumping was a bit skew-whiff at times. But you look at this Arkle, and I make it a 5-runner race. I think there'll only be 5 in the field. You've got Ladouceur, Jangle Bay, Touch Me Not, and I had Jordan's down as a runner. I think he's going to bounce out straight into the lead, uncontested, and no one's going to see which way he goes. I think there is one particular good bet in this race, and that's Django Bay to win without Madgeborough. Trained by Nicky Henderson, he's improving. He didn't get home last time at Sandown in the heavy ground. This is a really good horse, and he beat the John Joe O'Neill horse who went on to win a handicap of a 146 by 9 lengths. I think the market's got this wrong with Ladouceur being second favourite. I was very disappointed with the way that horse won at Warwick last time out. I think he had a harder race than necessary, and I think the way I'm going to bet this race is Madgeborough in a forecast to beat Django, and Django without.
So keep your eyes peeled for a without market there. And also should say, given Blogsy's fancy of Madgeburg to win this race, Priced Up are boosting Madgeburg out from 8-15 to 4-6. So a big boost there. If you go to the Priced Up price boost page, you can see all the boosts up there. Loads throughout the evening today, throughout all the races. I'll be reading them all out as we go. But Madgeburg 4-6 from 8-15 is the first one tonight. Johnny, you took on the odds-on favourite in the first.
Well, not saying to take on the
well,
first one. Yeah, but I wouldn't back it. But I'd back this though. Jeez, this is a moral at the same time. Of all the skinny ones at the meeting, this is the one I'd have on a pedestal, way above anything else. If I had to pick one horse to save my life for the whole 4 days, this would be it. This cannot get beat bar it falls anyway, in my opinion anyway. And I'd expect it to be in front. I couldn't have loaded Sud. I don't fancy Django Boy either, to be honest. He's coming back he's a horse that would have ran in the 2.5 mile race if it still existed. And he beat Madgeburg, beat Touch Me Not. Is there going to be a fifth runner even? If there is, it won't count anyway. And whatever it's going to be, like if it is Jordan's, it's not going to figure anyway. Whatever it is, you know what I mean. So, like I'd say, I see 6. Like even I'm just talking about Madgeburg. Are they boosting the 4-6? That's
4-6, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great price now. I think I'll have me fee on it at 4-6. And a bit
sort it out, Callum.
Look, I would have said this. Like, I think you just have to keep your eyes shut at the second last. Apart from that, I think there's no betting here.
Aidan?
Yeah, all I'll say from a jockey's point of view, if you can jump around Leopardstown, you can jump around Cheltenham. The fences are far bigger at Leopardstown and far stiffer. Cheltenham's are a little bit more trappy in the fact that they come up at funny angles and maybe undulating track, but in general, if I was going out to ride a novice chaser, I'd be a lot more nervous going out around Leopardstown than I would Cheltenham. So, although his jumping he doesn't tick all the boxes in that respect. He's by far the best horse in the race that I'm sure Mark Walsh will have the bit in his mouth and he'll be schooling him around for this race. And as Johnny said, the bogey fence here is the second last, but I envisage Mark Walsh turning in and eyeing it up from 8 strides away. Well, there's actually only 6 strides off the bend. 6 strides away and jumping it how he wants to jump it. Lotus Sud will only win if Madgeburg jumps terribly. He can make a few mistakes and still beat him. He'll win.
There we go, 4-6. The lads are Priced Up.
JP's never won an Arkle though, has he? Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Right, on to the Ultima now, the third race on the card on Tuesday. The Changing Man, 6-1 favourite, ahead of Broadway Boy at 15-2. Johnny Who and a Whistle Stop Tour and Katat Dory all 8-1. We've got Masaccio is 10-1 with Krebley, Henry's friend. Gold Tweet, Highland and Melina Girl all 14-1, 16-1 bar those. Johnny, I'll come to you first here. Slightly better betting race this one, you'd think?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be mad about handicaps in Cheltenham, but if I was going for one, I think you have a better chance of backing them in a handicap chase than maybe in a handicap hurdle. That was always the kind of theory I had, and whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. I fancy the Changing Man very well, actually, though. I think he's a great chance here. He's just got perfect blend of experience, and he's a youngish enough horse too. He's 8 years of age, second season novice, ran against good novices last year, didn't win. Ran in this year against good handicaps, like he ran the rehearsal chase, I think, in Newcastle. He was second to Victorino in Ascot. He was second somewhere, he fell in the Badger Air, and then he went back to the Reynolds-Town. He won, was it 24 and 64 lengths? He only went up 2 pounds. I think that's very lenient myself. Like him off 140. Somebody told me that they were thinking of running him in the Brown Advisory. Now, that would have been madness, like, to spoil the mark of 140 here. He's a safe conveyance jumping wise. He's going to be ridden probably proactively. He's going to be up in the first 4 or 5, you'd imagine, going around. I'd be gobsmacked if he's not in the first 4 or 5. And I do think he's stonking each way, but at the very least, I think he'll win, to be honest.
I think he'll win about a 6-1 shot. Strong word there for Johnny about the Changing Man, the favourite here in the Ultima. Blogger, how do you see it?
There's a horse in here called Famous Bridge, trained by Nicky Richards, who was 4th in the race last year to Chianti Classico. You may remember him winning a few weeks ago at Haydock, where he beat Apple's Jade. It was the first time they put cheek pieces on this horse, and he travelled and jumped so much better than normal. He gets into the race off a mark of 1:42. Now, I'm pretty sure he needs to win this in order to get into the Grand National. Have a look at him, but I think Famous Bridge for Nicky Richards is going to run a big race. I think he's about 20-1, is he there, George?
Trying to get it up as we speak.
Yeah, he's a big price, bigger than what I normally tip. But I can't actually see this being out the first 4. And I think the cheek pieces has really improved him. I'm going to have a fair each way bet on this.
I can see him in the first 4 and the first 10 as well.
Contrasting opinions here.
Famous Bridge, 18-1.
18-1 there.
Yeah,
I think, he jumped really badly in the race last year, He was cruising 3 out and he just started walking through a few fences. But
He's by fame and glory, and they all jump badly.
right, okay. Well, that's not very good at all, is it?
They all jump badly, yeah.
You know, hopefully Nicky's sorted that out, and if he has, I think he'll be in the first 4.
So Aidan, you've ruled that one out. Who do you fancy here?
I actually like Gold Tweed. He won a...
Gold Tweed is actually out for the season, if it told me. Would you believe that?
Really? When did I...
Somebody told me he backed him, and he's out, and it's out for the season. He must have somebody told. I'd say he's right too. Is that right?
Gold Tweet out.
Gold Tweet 14-1. Probably don't back Gold Tweet.
No, well, I literally haven't heard. I haven't seen it. Or anything
Does
like
the
that.
machine say that? Does it? This fella should know. I'm guessing he's right now.
I haven't read about it. Anyway, let's see.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't read it either. No. Yeah, it's
that one went.
out. Yeah.
Do you know what one guaranteed to be in the placing here is Broadway Boy? I know it's like he turns up to every Cheltenham and runs well at all of them. He's very straightforward, and I hate the handicaps, by the way. I never really look at them, to be honest. I might look at them the day before when I know what's running. I don't like wasting my time looking through an entry list of 150 horses and most of them not running, so I won't have much opinion on any of the handicaps, but I do know Broadway Boy is definitely going here, and he always runs well, so why isn't he going to run well in this?
There's a horse in this race who's really just testing my patience, and that's Johnny Who. I mean, Johnny, talk to me about Johnny Who. Wins at Carlisle, absolutely hacks up,
Yeah.
and then he's been out the frame in his next 3 runs. You can't find him on the back of the telly. He's 8-1 to win the Ultima. Haven't they just lined this up?
Yeah, probably, but like he was slightly regressive as a hurdle horse. He started off good, and then it did the same thing over fences. Do you know, I have a feeling when they put the gun to the head for Johnny Hugh on the day that he'd do fuck all.
He doesn't find.
Yeah, I think he won't. He won't run any better one of the days he's not wanted. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's like me on a Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. He's entered in a load of races. Is he running here?
He is. If he's going to run, it has to be that race, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Well, look, he's a fairly classy horse. I mean, he ran in the 2.5 mile novice hurdle at Newbury. What's that called again?
Shallow.
Yeah, as a hurdle horse. So he has ability, no question doubt about it. And he has been kept for something like this. But I have a feeling that he won't deliver when they want him. You know.
Okay, let's move on to the mares now, and kind of the news hot off the press. Whilst Blogger was with Gordon Elliott, was at Brighter Days Ahead. Will not run in the mares. Will go for the Champion Hurdle. And when I checked about half an hour ago, Lossiemouth was trading at about 8.0, 8.2 on the machine for the mares. So it looks like she'll be running in the Champion Hurdle as well. So Jay de Grugy and Lossiemouth both 5-2. July Flower 5-1. Golden Ace 6-1. 12-1 bar those. But you know the race is cutting up pretty quickly here, Blogsy. So we'll get on to the Champion Hurdle in a second, and we'll spend a long time on it because it looks to be a renewal for the ages. What does it mean for the mares?
It's going to be an open race, and it makes it more exciting for us at home
race,
to not have a big odds-on favourite, you know. You've obviously got the Supreme, you've got the Arkle, we've got 2 mega favourites, so it's nice to have a race where everyone's going to have a different opinion. I'm of the opinion that Jeremy Scott's horses have been wrong all season. He had a terrible start for the first 4 months. They've only just started to come right. And, you know, we all know Golden Ace loves Cheltenham. She's a 2-time winner around there. She's got the class to win this race. Beating Burdett Road, who's a 150 horse, was a good run. She's only just hitting top stride. If there's 8 runners in this, or if you can get 3 runners for the place, I think she's a great each way bet at 6-1. Jade de Grugy defied a big market drift on her comeback. She'd been off the track a long time. If you haven't seen this filly in the parade ring, go and have a look at her. She's a giant. She's really scopy. I'm surprised they actually haven't gone chasing with her this year because I think she'll be one hell of a horse over a fence. I'd want to take her on. Lossiemouth isn't going to run in this. July Flower, Henry de Bromhead's French import. She won really nicely on debut. Received £5 from Carla Conti. She didn't really impress me. I'd want to take her on. Cargasi pulls too hard. I think the race is set up for Golden Ace, and I could see her going off at 3-1 on the day.
Golden Ace, a selection there for Blogsy. Yeah, 6-1 currently for the mares. Johnny, how do you see it?
Is Lossiemouth going out to that price again?
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
They're trading shorter now for the Champion Hurdle on the exchange than.
Okay, so she's 6 and 7 to 1 again for this race. Okay, so just I'll let her out. So, look, Jade de Grugy has a good chance. I think it'll be less than 5-2. The fact that it'll be stable selected. I have a few quid on July Flower from earlier in the year. I was thinking that the big 2 wouldn't run. I don't fancy her really at the same time. Do you know what I mean? I think. Look, I think she only has a bit of a chance. That's all. I wouldn't go in on her at 5-1. And Cargesi doesn't run. I think it's going for the county hurdle. Carla Conti's going to run here at a bit of a chance. But then you're struggling after that. And the one I would be going with is the one Stephen mentioned, Golden Ace. I did one of these with Larkin Williams the other night in Cardiff, and he said the same as you, that Jeremy Scott's horse weren't right earlier on in the year, and he thinks she'll get the trip all right. She has form at 2.5 miles albeit in a weaker race in Cheltenham at the same time. So this is probably it isn't the stiffer track of the two. She's a horse with a lot of ability. Even the last day in Wincanton, she looked like she was struggling to lie up at Bird. It rode at 2 mile, only kind of wore him down late on. So looking at her in Wincanton, you'd say that she'd stay 2.5 mile, all right. I know Wincanton is probably a quick 2 mile, but it was softish ground at the same time. I think she's probably the one. She's coming right probably at the right time, and I think she's probably got that bit of pace that a lot of these don't have. And I'd say that's the one. She has contracted a lot. She was double figures there about 3 days ago. Now she's into 6 to 1. I don't know what price she'll finish up, but she'd still probably be around the 5 to 1 chance. But she is probably the one that I'd go with right now, yeah.
Yeah, Golden Ace there for Johnny as well. Aidan, how do you see the mares?
I really worry about Golden Ace's stamina. I know I kind of agree with what the lads are saying, but I just don't know. It's 2.5 hours. 2.5 miles her trip. Sam Twiston-Davies is one of my best friends, and I've never seen him as sick as he was after the Kingwell. He said he should have won that. The race didn't work out at all. He got hassled the whole way by the horse of Harry Durham's Brentford Hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he got nothing his own way, and he said if he had one more shot, he would have just followed Brentford Hope. He was not happy with Paul O'Brien. If he just followed Brentford Hope, he would have won that race. In saying that probably form is still good enough to win this, actually, in saying that. But I'm just not really sure about Golden Ace. One horse I will give you here, it's not just because I'm connected with the Fergal O'Brien, but Dystar Enos, whether she's a suspect stayer at the trip, but she has run one bad race in her life.
She's a heartbreaker.
But she hates the winter. Yeah. She hates winter. They're going to have to completely change tactics next year and either run her in the autumn and the spring and put her in the field for the winter because they lose her every winter. She goes unhealthy, all that. So they might even talk about running her in the flat because she doesn't train in the winter. She's run well around Cheltenham loads, and I think she's a great each-way bet because I've ridden her out a few times. She's very, very classy. Very classy. I've ridden a lot of good mares, and she's up there with them from the field she gets at home. I'm not saying she's going to win, but she's got a lot of ability, and in a race that definitely lacks a star, she's done as much as the rest of them, to be honest, in the form book, and she'd be my each-way bet for this. I did really like Cargeese, but it looks like she's going for the county hurdle, so we'll get to that later on.
I think we can all sympathise with a horse that doesn't perform in winter, but hopefully Dysart Enos enjoying the fairer weather, and 25 to 1 looks like a huge price there for Aidan's selection in the mares.
One other thing I will say is Henry de Bromhead is done as usual, Johnny, isn't he? He just tails off around Christmas, the thing, and he always does a good festival.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to talk about a lot of his horses, but they're all going to run well. He's just coming on form again now, Johnny, isn't he?
Well, they are, and his horses not only run well, they do career best a lot of the time,
yeah,
don't they? You know?
So I wouldn't rule out, if you've any fancies of Henry de Bromheads, I really wouldn't rule him out this week. He always does well at this meeting, and before this, it happens every year. He has a bad January, February, and then he just starts kicking.
Why do you reckon that is, Aidan?
Don't know. I really don't know. It happens to a lot of trainers, to be honest. Might be something to do with the yard. You know, it's just athletes get ill, don't they, or don't be under the weather. Ireland is competitive, I suppose. In the autumn, he doesn't really have Willie to contend with. Gordon hits the autumn hard. Then he kind of isn't as hard on him in the winter because he wouldn't keep going if he kept the same intensity up. And Henry's just tend to run bad, kind of in the depths of the winter. But like he always has winners at this festival and horses running well. And I don't think we're really going to talk about Henry de Bromhead horse, are we, Johnny?
He
both said they didn't fancy them. Fancy is in the first in the Supreme.
He has a little bits and pieces of chance,
Yeah.
but he has won. He has put in amazing stuff with the likes of like how Captain Giddis win the champion chase.
I'd put the kettle on when the
Yeah,
champion
exactly.
chase.
You know what I mean? And that special tiara one. You know what I mean? So it's crazy the stuff. What kind of stuff he can do at this meeting? So you would be worried of anything he's bringing to this meeting. So maybe July Fleur has a better chance than I think she has, but.
Form is what we're here to talk about, and it's probably, you're right, it's probably not there, but I'm just saying Henry de Bromhead deserves respect. In this
he does, absolutely, yeah.
And also, you know, his horses coming to the festival with him in bad form probably means you're getting a bigger price about the horse than they likely should be, because some will be swerving. So, yeah, July Flower 5 to 1 here for the mares. The big race on Tuesday, always a big race on Tuesday, but this renewal looks absolutely exceptional. Here we go. Constitution Hill is the 4-5 favourite to regain the champion hurdle crown. Brighter days ahead in at 2-1. Lossiemouth 11-2. State Man 17-2. Bird at Row 28-1. 40-1 bar those. I mean, this is, because I'll come to you first. You've made your feelings very clear on Constitution Hill. And I know, we were talking backstage beforehand, and Aidan made some very good points about why Constitution Hill may not be, why there should be some doubts about whether or not he's at his best. What makes you so sure that he's still a good thing?
First off, what a race.
What a race.
Brighter days ahead, Lossiemouth and Constitution Hill. 29 Grade 1 wins and State Man between the four of them. Got to give a bit of respect to him, haven't we? He's a good horse, obviously. Look, I got involved in racing in 1998 when Isterbrack popped on the scene, and I was very, very lucky that during that time we had some great hurdlers, Harder Eustace, Archibald, Isterbrack, Brave Inca, all of those good horses. What we've seen from Constitution Hill in the Supreme and in the Champion Hurdle tops anything I've ever seen or may ever see. People are talking about weakness in Constitution Hill. They're looking to get him beat. There's something about having a champion where everyone wants to tear them down. This horse is the Usain Bolt of the horse world. Now, we go back to the win at Kempton. I know a lot of people are crabbing him, but he was only dossing when he hit the front. We all know Nicky Henderson's a very sympathetic trainer. He would have only had him at about 90%. Nico was only flapping around with his arms there. He wasn't really sticking into the horse. He's made Lossiemouth look pretty slow, albeit she didn't travel that well, and we can all make excuses. I'm a punter who never likes to make an excuse for a horse getting beat. I've got a lot of respect for Brighter Days Ahead. She's one hell of a mare. And seeing her standing in close to her at Galuntra House, she's actually 17 hands. She is a giant. But there's levels to this game. And Constitution Hill is 2 levels above the rest. If I can get 10-11 in the ring at Cheltenham on the day, I'm going to have the biggest cash bet of my life. This horse will not be beat, and he's going to put a lot of sour grapes in the haters' mouths. This will not be beaten. This will not be beaten.
So I've got news for you. Priced up a boost in Constitution Hill. After you've said that,
go on.
From 4-5 out to 10-11. So get the readies.
I am on.
Yeah, priced up, pushing out Constitution Hill off the back of bloggers ringing endorsement out to 10-11. So yeah, again, on site under price boosts, you'll find all the boosts out there up on site at the moment. 10-11 about the good thing here. Now, Aidan, I heard you chatting to Blogsy earlier. And you made some really good points as to why. That there are doubts and why there should be doubts as to whether or not he's the same horse. And that's not to say he'll get beaten, but why he may not be quite what he used to be.
Well, firstly, I'll say he's the best horse I've ever seen. And
you saw the back of him
4 times in a row, I think. 4 times in a row I followed him home. And do you know what? You were probably closer in the stands than I was. And I was on good horses. John Bon, Epiton twice, maybe 3 times in a row, or she was 4 times. Anyway, he is the best horse I've ever seen. But that was 2 years ago, and he spent 10 months of his life ill. You could say you could get over that in time, and his previous 2 runs, he hasn't shown the form that he showed 2 years ago, in my opinion, because he was just ring rusty and getting over his ailments. Or you could say they'll have a lasting effect. I don't know, but I'm going to go Brighter Days Ahead, just to disagree with Blogger, to be honest. I really do hope he wins, though. I even though I do fancy her strongly, I'd hate to go against him, because I think racing needs a horse like this. I think if you had the best Isterbrack, Annie Power, Faheen, whatever else has won champion hurdles, if you could line them all up in the mega champion hurdle, I think they wouldn't even, and him on his best day, they wouldn't get within 20 lengths of him. I really do think he's that good. Or was that good. But I just have my doubts from him. Like, he had so many, he wasn't right all last year. Then the Kempton Gallop was like, you don't do that unless something's seriously wrong. Do that. And then he got the colic on top of it. That's a long time to be under the weather, and I just worry about that.
We were saying that he's a remarkable horse to have overcome all of that and still be at that level, eh?
Oh, 100%. As I say, he's the best horse I've ever seen. Ever. And I don't think we'll ever see another Constitution Hill as long as there's run pressing. Really don't. I really don't. His speed figures are ridiculous. Everything is about him. He's like, he is the ultimate racehorse. It's just, I don't know, is he the horse he was 2 years ago?
It's interesting. We do the Cheltenham Raw I host a show with Andy Holding that Blog's been on a few times. Priced Up and Odds Checker do it together. And Andy Holding, who's big into his speed figures, says that the times he's got Constitution Hill doing this season are as good as he's ever been. Maybe visually it doesn't quite work out like that. And I guess to an extent maybe because he's been hard held in the past, the times may not stack up to what he was capable of doing, where he's been held to task more often. But he, in Andy's view, what we've seen so far is the real Constitution Hill. Johnny, where do you stand?
Look, I agree with the boys insofar as that he was probably the best horse, definitely the best hurdle horse I've ever seen, and without a doubt. I wouldn't have other horses that are mentioned in the same level as him at all. Saying that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago is a long time in a racehorse's life, and like you say, he was probably imperious in the Supreme, beating John Bond half the track.
That was an exaggerated distance because we went far too fast.
Yeah,
we went far. It would never. If I knew that I couldn't win, the distance would have been
probably half
lengths.
that.
Yeah, at least half that. Yeah,
but
we
it's
went
still a
far
fair
too.
effort at the
Oh yeah, to beat John Bond, who's come out and won 10 Grade 1 since. So like,
and he was like he brushed aside Stateman in the following year. So at that level, there's no offers. It wouldn't even be up for debate as to who'd win this race. 4 to 5, you'd be filling your bag. But 2 years is a long time.
10 to 11.
Or whatever. Yeah, 10 to 11. He's had wind ups, colic. He's probably bleeder. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. I'd say there's stuff wrong with him that you don't even get to hear.
I'd say the Kempton race horses don't work that bad unless they bleed. And that's just me.
That's my opinion as well. He's something wrong with his lungs. So like even 2 years ago when he was running at his peak, like you even look at the first race, Marine Nationale, El Fabiolo, just see what they've done in 2 years' time. They didn't really go to the levels that you think. And look, this is a different kind of a test here insofar as I actually think I bet with me pocket. I don't care. Like I just put things into what I think might happen in a race, and I do think when it comes to the heat of the battle here, that the elastic will go on Constitution and it will break, and he will fold. When they go fast with the pacemaker, she goes maybe 3 lengths off him. He has to keep track on her or keep tabs on her, but he's got to be mindful of Lassie Mode as well. I think it's massive that she runs. That's definitely a huge. Anyone want to oppose Constitution Hill? That's a huge fillip to you. Anyone? I think I wouldn't have opposed them just with the 1. I think with the 2, I think it makes it a different test. I think it's a bit like. I was trying to use an analogy. It's like I tell you what it's like now. To be honest, it's a bit like a fella at a wedding, say, right? And
there we go.
He's with the wife, and he's eyeing up some other fella's wife, right? He's got to keep an eye on her husband.
Where's this going?
He's got to keep an eye on her husband and his own wife. You know what I mean? So, but in this situation, if one of them wasn't there, he's only got to keep an eye on one of them. So, but with the 2,
How often have you been in this situation, Johnny? I don't.
No, I haven't. But I haven't.
Maybe Constitution Hill's Dan Bilzerian can handle them.
Yeah, maybe so. But he's got to keep an eye on 2 hours. He's got to keep an eye on the one in front, that he doesn't give her too much rope. But she's going to be on his shoulder as well, pressurising him. So he's going to have pressure from 2 points, in my opinion. And I think when in the white heat of battle, with all the ailments that he's had, he will crack and he'll get beat.
I've got a question for you. Brighter days ahead. How the hell did she get beat in the mares? And how the hell did she beat Connie Hill?
Like brighter days ahead, how she was beating the mares is one for the man above, wasn't it? I think there's no logic behind that. Like what she did in Aintree, like she absolutely bolted in an Aintree. I didn't fancy her in Aintree on the back of, like I said, how could she be that good? Like she couldn't be a 6 or 7 to 4 chance against geldings, and she couldn't beat mares. But she looked a different animal. I'd say what she did in Aintree is what they thought she'd do in Cheltenham, and I'd say what she's doing in since is more or less what they thought she was going to do all along. She could be flattered by the run at Christmas, that's for sure.
100% she was, 100%.
Yeah, probably was. But saying that, if you're going on times with Constitution Hill, I don't go on times, but apparently her time in Leopardstown was good, really good. But she needs to jump properly too. She's inclined to rattle a hurdle as well. You know what I mean? I know that fellas are saying that he has taken a dive at 1 or 2 as well. So it's not even beyond the bounds of possibility that one of them will make a race-ending mistake, even with either one of the 2 of them. And Lassie Mode has fallen in assets, so you just wouldn't know what had happened. But it's very hard to fancy Stateman. I would be giving brighter days ahead a great chance. And I wouldn't rule out Lassie Mode either. So for that reason, I'm going to lay Constitution Hill anyway, for sure. But I do think he'll get shorter on the day. I think he could probably finish up about 13 to 8 on myself. That's my opinion. I just think I always know it's from making a book in Cheltenham. The horses with all the 1s in front of them, they were really hard to keep punters off anyway, always, you know.
Blogsy, given you just said you're going to have your biggest ever cash bet on this horse, and you got Johnny sitting next to you saying he's going to lay it, does that worry you?
No, because I'm never afraid of other people's opinions. I don't read blogs or listen to pundits on TV. Every bet I ever have is based on my own race replay analysis and formulating my own tissue price and go from there and attack. Everything we've seen of this.
What would be your tissue price for Constitution Hill?
Well, at the moment, I mean, I slightly disagree with Johnny that he's going to go off at 13.08 on. I think there are going to be a lot of people back in Lossiemouth and a lot of the big boys getting stuck into brighter days ahead. I think the syndicates will formulate this market, the big boys who get all their runners to get on, I'm talking millions of pounds, and we'll find out 5 minutes before the off. But I think we'll freely get 10 to 11 in the ring. I think there are a lot of doubts about Constitution Hill from the general public's point of view. You read social media, people want to take him on. I don't want to take him on. I think this is one of the bets of a century.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the opinion that he will be hammered off the board. That's my own experience of.
So I need to get on ASAP.
I would have thought so. Yeah,
10 to 11
I think
price boost.
Because you saw what happened at Christmas in the Captain Hurdle. The betting only went one way.
Yeah.
From suddenly Lossiemouth being favoured to complete collapse the other way around. And the same thing will happen here.
Yeah.
Brighter Days Ahead will be closer to 3 to 1, and Constitution Hill will be closer to 8 to 13.
I mean, it's going to be a 5-runner race. We've got Constitution Hill, Brighter Days Ahead, Lossiemouth, Stateman, and King of Kingsfield. The rest won't run.
These models, they tend to back the same horses.
Yeah.
And they backed it at Christmas. They'll back it again here.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go.
My opinion, anyway.
He's going to shorten, so we need to get on ASAP.
Get on, lads.
But listen, we need this horse to win.
But it will still win at the same time.
Do we think Townend's going to ride Lossiemouth in terms of?
In my opinion, yes, because Stateman has no chance at all.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
He's won 11 Grade 1s in Statement. I don't know.
The vibe from Ireland is that he's going to ride State.
Yeah, Donnelly's as well. I don't know.
What price does Stateman and Lossiemouth go off if Townend rides Stateman?
It just shouldn't matter. Statement is
it
$1
always
million.
does.
Statement's $1 million for this race. It doesn't matter who rides him.
Yeah.
I feel disrespectful saying it. He's the defending champion, but he won't be within 10 lengths of these, I don't think.
We'll move on to the Fred Winter, where Stencil is the 5-1 favourite. Had a total look at 6-1. Willie De Hoy is 7-1. Beyond Your Dreams 15-2. Naturally Nimble 9-1. Lady Vega Allen is 9-1. 10-1. Bar those. Aidan, I know you said you don't really look at handicaps and don't like them, but I haven't come to you first yet, so it's your turn to go first.
I like Naturally Nimble. Really do. I think Joseph O'Brien probably holds the key to this race. I think there's a fair chance he'll win it. He's got 3 or 4 really strongly fancied ones, and I just like Naturally Nimble. Good horse in the flat, disappointed his first run, then won a graded race his second run, and then ran perfectly well for form-wise for a race like this on his next run. No, I really do like him in a race like this, and I haven't had the best look of it, but I know he wasn't probably far off running in a Triumph Hurdle, to be honest, and that's good enough for me here.
Naturally Nimble 9-1 there. Johnny, anything for you?
Yeah, I like Total Look. I think it's a great chance. It was a 1-2-5 Irish. The English handicapper gave him £7, and I'd say that's as much as most Irish horses got. So that wouldn't be a help. But look, I'd say he'd a lot in hand off 1-2-5, a hell of a lot in hand. Now you'll have horses here that have plenty in hand. He won't be the only horse coming here with a bit under its sleeve, up its sleeve or whatever. Naturally Nimble, Beyond Our Dreams, Put Your Hands Together. You can be sure that probably the 3 of those have a bit up their sleeve. Stencil is a horse just hard to read. I personally don't really fancy Stencil. There's a kind of a whiff of Melantino of him. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff coming from France. Okay, he ran up behind East India Dock the last day, but he was well brushed aside. He was beaten well in the finish. I'd find it hard to see how he'd win any race at Cheltenham myself. But I know Total Look is well regarded. Is very, very, very close to, I'd say, Hello Neighbour class. So off 1-3-2 even here, I'd say like they couldn't expect to get any less than 3 or 4. So he's only got an extra £3 maybe that they probably didn't anticipate. But if you look at his last couple of runs, like he's definitely been primed for here. And I'd say since the start of the season, he won in Navan, and they kept the other guy for Leopardstown, and I'd say they just split them up, and they said rather than have 2 for the Triumph, they targeted him in here, and he's got a great jockey. He's got a lot going from his Gavin Cromwell. He's not a great price now, but I'd say he'll be very close.
Revenge tastes great. The horse who was second to yours at Navan, Beyond Your Dreams.
Oh yeah, that was second.
Is going to beat Total Look
so?
and win the Fred Winter.
Okay, maybe.
You go back and watch the ride given to that horse. It's very flippy floppy, very sympathetic. I'm £2 better off for beating you. Right. He's only had the 3 runs over hurdles. Yeah. He went on to win his next start at Ferryhouse, beating a horse there called Slurricane, who absolutely hacked up. That Beyond Your Dreams, in my opinion, probably has a stone in hand for JP McManus, and I think he could go off favourite. I think the favourites are going to flip-flop. I couldn't have Stencil for the life of me. East India Doc was cruising home there, and he just chased him home. The race fell apart in behind. But if you go back and watch that race there at Navan, Total Look won, but he just about hung on, and I think Beyond Your Dreams was going to given a very easy ride.
Yeah, it was, yeah. No, I agree with you.
Been well backed already. He was 14s a few days ago.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'd say you're right. I'd say Beyond Your Dreams, Natural Rhythm, and Put Your Hands Together all have a bit up.
The green and yellow hammer has been out.
Yeah, I'd say, but I'd say Toad Look has a good bit in hand himself.
Right. Okay. So we could have the reverse forecast.
I mean, they're big enough price.
Maybe so.
You can back them both, to be fair. I mean, 6 to 1 about Total Look, 15 to about Beyond Your Dreams, and yeah, put your hands together for the form line, 11 to 1.
I will just say, every horse Noel George has sent over to England this year has been beat. He hasn't had a winner. And a lot of those novices that were running at Ascot have all been beat, and they've all been well punted. So maybe they haven't got their form lines right with the British and Irish horses.
Interesting. We'll move on to the final race of Tuesday's card, the National Hunt Chase, where Now Is the Hour is the 3 to 1 favourite ahead of Haiti Couleur at 4 to 1. Transmission 6 to 1. Captain Cody 7 to 1. Samajest is 10 to 1. Johnny Who is 10 to 1. A few others 10 to 1 as well. Here, Johnny, anything for you in the last?
No, this is one of the races that I don't like. The fact that
You're at the bar.
They've turned it into a handicap,
Yeah.
makes it trickier. Look, Now Is the Hour was prime for this. Got £10 for finishing fourth. I'd say that was like definitely what they didn't want. I'd say if it had come in off what Irish market had around near it, I'd say they would have fenced. But again, it wants slow ground to be at its best as well. Haiti Couleurs is a fairly solid horse here, but look, they're not giving much away here with the prices. Transmission Chance, Captain Cody does seem to be talking about that horse in Ireland. I think it only has a chance myself. I thought this was like a race that you could be gone home for, to be honest.
Not even at the bar, going home.
Yeah.
Blogsy, how do you see it?
Yeah, again, it's not a race that I'm really going to be punting in, but I was over with Gavin Cromwell the other day and we went to see Now Is the Hour. And I said to him, would you be worried about the fast ground? He went, no, he travels really well. He's a horse they've clearly lined up for the race. And if you say one thing about Gavin Cromwell, he's one hell of a trainer. Royal Ascot winners at Cheltenham Festival, winners at every big festival going. I think this man's on target to become the second biggest trainer in Ireland, and he's growing and growing by the day. He's lined this horse out for the race, and they're very, very confident in his chances.
The winner in Dubai or something, Bahrain or something. Yeah.
He's actually an unbelievable racehorse trainer,
I think
and he's
so,
very
yeah.
quiet. You know, he doesn't say much about much, but boy, can he train a racehorse.
5 furlongs to 4 miles.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He's got a brand new gallop there.
I was going to say, how was his operation out there?
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, Gavin started out as a farrier to Gordon Elliott, and he's just improved and improved. And he bought a small plot of land, and he started buying all the surrounding pieces of land. Every year he got a bit more money behind him, and he's got a load of acres of land there now, and the facilities are second to none. If you get the opportunity to go to Willie's, Gordon's, Joseph's, or Henry's, all 4 of those yards are so different. It's incredible how you can train racehorses to be so good and all being so unique. But Gavin is really going to have a phenomenal 18 months. He's a trainer you want to be on side with, especially when he's laid one out. He's an absolute devil for them.
Absolutely. I think he's third favourite for top trainer up without Mullins, which shows what an amazing set of horses he's got coming to Cheltenham next week. Aidan, how do you see this?
There's a horse I like is in Transmission. I know he's not the biggest price, but Neil Mulholland, he doesn't have many good horses, but I rode a lot for him, and he is a great trainer for a day. And I think if you look, this horse ran the last time in the Cleve. He didn't run because Neil Mulholland thought he had a chance. He's only been to Cheltenham this year, that horse. He's had a similar route with the Druid's Nephew. He won at the festival a few years ago, and he had a horse that was second in this, or the Ultima, I can't remember. Same kind of profile, targeting for the race, and if they didn't win, they were second. This horse loves Cheltenham. I really respect the trainer. It's not a race I have a strong opinion with, but I'd really respect Neil Mulholland for a day.
Transmission 6 to 1 with PricedUp. Before we get on to day 2, going to ask you all for a best bet, a nap of the day, and also an outsider to put up. Blogsy, come to you first.
The nap is Constitution Hill. Racing needs him to win. He will win, and we will all roar him home. The next best is going to be Beyond Your Dreams in the Fred Winter at around 15 to 2. And the outsider is going to be Nicky Richards' horse there in the Ultima Famous Bridge at about 18 to 1.
Great stuff. We'd scrap the next best, but it's good you gave us one anyway. Johnny?
Yeah, I'll go the Changing Man in the Ultima and Total Look in the Fred Winter Is it Fred Winter? Yeah. I don't really back outsiders, like huge outsiders anyway. You know what I mean? So like there won't be anything bigger than probably 25 to 1 win at the meeting. So I don't see why fellas be looking for 33 to 1 shots. You know that kind of way.
Hayton.
My nap would be Majbur. I think he's immoral, and my each way would be Dice Startina. She'll be a shorter price in the day. I agree with Johnny. Like there won't be 5 to 1 shots. I know she is now, but I think when you look through her form, it's a bit of an injustice to her, and she'll be shorter. And if not, just go each way.
Great stuff. That is our day one preview done and dusted. Make sure you check out PricedUp.bet for all the boosts and their social channels as well. They'll be posting throughout the week and during the festival as well, with loads of boosts up there. So do check that out. We'll be back again in just a second with day 2, but ensure you're gambling responsibly and do sign up to PricedUp.bet and look out for the day 2 preview shortly.